Today is March 20th. Mitch Keller has been named the opening day starter in Cincy. We have some roster moves and updates on position battles. We're less than 2 weeks away, guys. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother Jake. What's up?
How we doing, man?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, USA's up 9-2 if you guys are tuning into the WBC.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what's going on right now. I know you've been watching because you're big in this. We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
And there's been some notable injuries in the WBC, and there's been a lot of chatter and a lot of talk.
Yeah.
And now would be a real good opportunity for me to say I told you so.
Ooh.
Except I'm not going to. Because as I said, I've been watching, and I'm in. There's a couple things that kind of triggered me on this. And I just want to say this because I've been one, and I've used this phrase, and I have to say this at least, because if you follow along with everyone else, I've used the phrase exhibition games. They are exhibition games. Like they really are. Like I understand it's a tournament, but they are exhibition games, right? They're not part of the regular season. However, there's a couple big tweets going around, and people are all mad because there's people mad about the WBC, calling them meaningless. Are you kidding me right now? Trey Turner just hit another homer. A 3-run home run. It's now 12-2. Trey Turner, by the way, I mean, just an absolute monster.
Unreal.
Monster. Okay, so anyway, there's been some things that I've noticed. Well, no, first off, he's calling them meaningless exhibition games. So then there's all the arguments, sure looks meaningless. Listen, it might be meaningless to you, but to the guys who decided they wanted to do it, it obviously means something. So to call it meaningless is like, I feel like that's a matter of opinion. That's not like, there's not, whatever. Anyway, just because they're exhibition games, so are spring training games. Altuve gets hit on the hand. That can happen in a spring training game.
Absolutely.
If you're the Astros, maybe you're a little bit lucky, because one thing that I found out in the last few weeks, Edwin Diaz, Major League Baseball will pay his entire salary this year.
Yeah.
Because of insurance. Because when they go into the WBC, they get insurance. If something happens and they get injured, that insurance covers the cost of whatever time they spent on the injured list.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the Mets and you're like, I'm not sending you there and then paying you to be hurt. Remember the whole thing that I made a point like a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever we talked about it. And I said, if you sign this paper that says you get hurt, I don't have to pay you. Technically, they've already done that, and I just didn't know.
Hey, I didn't know that before then either.
Yeah, they've already signed that paper. So anyway, here's what I will say. The New York Yankees have decided none of their players will play in it. The Pirates decided it was not a good choice for Choi. And I still think that was a great move because he was not ready to go at this level.
Right.
I would imagine these guys have ramped up a little earlier than everybody else to be ready for this, like physically. And, if I'm the Yankees, I actually don't disagree with that move still. You have the ability to go into a season and do something special, like you're good, right? And they didn't want to take the risk. Now, the Yankees in the last few years have historically been very injured.
Yeah.
So for them to add that risk, it felt to them that it wasn't important. They're already still hurt, even without the WBC. There isn't, there's no there's no doubt in my mind that going 100% versus what you do in spring training is a difference. Like there is an added risk to the WBC.
Sure.
But in some cases, there's not. The Edwin Diaz injury, sure, you're celebrating. You would never celebrate in spring training, but that's like one of those, that's like the Joe Musgrove injury where he dropped a dumbbell on his leg. It's a freak accident thing that didn't have anything to do with gameplay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Injuries are going to happen. And there is an added risk. I get it. But it's the club's call. And if they decide that they have something big, here's what I know. What Roansy Contreras and Luis Ortiz got to do in that game that they both pitched, the Pirates cannot give them that experience.
Right.
This atmosphere is electric. It is playoffs. It's a tournament, right? That's what the playoffs are. We can't do that for them this year. They got some experience that will help us down the road. So for teams like the Pirates, other than the Choi thing, because that's obvious, like he wasn't healthy. He wasn't ready.
Right.
He didn't even play the first 2 weeks of our spring training. What made us think he was going to be ready to play in the WBC?
Right.
So anyway, I just wanted to kind of,
Yeah.
I was against it. And I saw people, I've seen people that are really against it. I was never quite that far, but like those people are like real mad, really mad and really against it. It's exciting baseball in a time where we're watching spring training games and they're not exciting and you don't care who wins and loses. It is kind of fun to watch a game. Although I think a lot of the people didn't MLB start this whole thing?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure MLB started this whole thing as a way to promote the game. And I'll tell you, there's a lot. Okay, so I listened to the 3-0 podcast, or 3-0 Take podcast, if any of you guys listen to that, and they were down there. And they mentioned how many kids are there and how like much they got into it. And it's like, yeah, this is helping the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's things like that. And I'm all about helping baseball. So if this is big, I mean, dude, they're competing against March Madness and their viewership is actually really big. Like it's actually been really good. So anyway, not to go too far into that. I just wanted to kind of say, because I know you've been tuned in, you've been locked in. I'm not quite still like the whole country versus country thing does nothing for me. Like I just don't care. Right. It doesn't. It doesn't mean the same thing to me as it does to these guys. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
to me, this is just sense. This means the same as playing on an all-star team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I you know what I mean. I did that once, and it was more about playing with all those other people from across the country. You know what I mean. Than it was like, oh, I get to wear the colors, and that's just not a thing. For me, it's baseball, right?
Yeah, like, and I actually am a little bit surprised about that, or to hear you say that, being that you got to wear the red, white, and blue, and
it's just not
travel a little bit. Like, okay,
yeah. If you want to serve your country, get in the go to the Army or the Marines or whatever. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? That's obviously, that's very lighthearted. I'm joking, but you didn't laugh enough for me to prove my point that was a joke. So I wanted to make sure I drove that home. Like that was supposed to be lighthearted there, Jake. Anyway, no, I think it's cool. I mean, and for some people it's super important and that's awesome. That's the thing about that. Like just cause it's not to me doesn't mean I don't think it's awesome that it's something for them. I still think it's awesome. Right. And all these guys, to do that. I mean, these guys play Major League Baseball. You represent America every single day of your job. But for a guy who is from Venezuela, representing America every day in the MLB, not representing America, but you know what I mean? You're in America playing an American sport and all this stuff. It means a little more to them to go back to their roots kind of a thing and to represent Venezuela for that reason, whatever. I'm also not like an Olympics guy. Like this means nothing to me. Right. So, but what I can appreciate is this has been entertaining baseball. And for guys like Roanzi and Luis Ortiz, obviously I'm thinking about the Pirates here mostly, but for guys like that, that's irreplaceable. Like that experience is going to go a long way.
Mm-hmm. Bednar's getting some.
Bednar, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't say Bednar, but yeah. He got the win in that game, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
They were already losing, so the home run didn't, it's not like he blew anything. Just,
right.
You know.
He tacked on one run. It was a solo shot. Big deal.
Yep. Okay, so what do we got here? I mean, injuries, right? We got some. We got guys that are banged up a little bit. Santana did play today. Kutch is like, they're saying he's fine. He just has a sore elbow kind of a thing. And it's just like, you take it easy. It's spring training. It's not a big deal. So I don't really know that that's a big update, but we want to get right into this. We want to get into Mitch Keller.
Yeah.
So right before we do, guys, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, click subscribe. You'll be notified when there's new episodes. We have one coming up on Friday. And then I think we got a week of just the Monday. And then this season, we're going to be doing Friday mornings, Monday mornings, try to do some series recaps and stuff like that. So make sure you're getting the notifications, auto downloads, whatever it takes, so that when you're driving, you can listen in. And YouTube, subscribe, hit like. Just keep pushing. Keep commenting. It's big. Spotify, Apple, rate, all that stuff. Mitch Keller gets named the opening day starter. And they put a video out. Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, they had the video where Shelby was basically, telling him, letting him know that he's worked hard and he's earned this, and it's just good to see. It was good. You put the hard work in, you get results. You get. I'm going to call it. It's a promotion.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in the starting rotation, but you got promoted to an opening day starter. Like, the Pirates are clearly viewing you as the ace of the staff this year.
We have not just us. Everyone has followed this Mitch Keller saga the whole way, to where half of us gave up on him, to where, you and I kept saying last year, make or break. If this isn't it, what are we going to do? And then we followed the, what was the place he went to? Tread or Drive or whatever that drive line, whatever it is. He goes out there and he does all this stuff. He's throwing 100. We start to get excited, very cautiously optimistic about it, right? And we're like, yeah, but it's gotta happen. And then all of a sudden, it's like, maybe it's not working. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. It doesn't work to just throw 100, right? I mean, we all remember Archimedes Caminero. It was like 100. Oh, see ya.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? It's not enough to just ramp up your velocity or whatever. And it was, I think, the stuff that he learned and the contacts that he made and the way that he just flipped it. And we were about ready to say it'll never happen.
Yeah.
And then we got really excited. And that's continued up to the point where he gets the nod. I think he actually did not know in that video.
Oh yeah, I think that was genuine.
I think so. I mean, it had to be in his mind.
Yeah.
He at least wanted it. Obviously, that's not going to be a
right.
any kind of a guess, but it felt like he didn't actually know what was going on there.
Yeah.
So, dude, I like that kind of stuff. And I know, like, I've saw a couple people like, do we need a video for this? I think no, we don't, actually. But I think it's really cool to get it.
Yeah.
To be able to peek through every once in a while and see, maybe just the fact that, like, they have feelings. I mean, not that we don't know that, but I think it's real easy to forget. And for a guy like that, like, who really, I mean, it looked like it was never going to work. Let that be a lesson to us that sometimes It doesn't have to happen right away for some of these guys. You know, it can
And
take some time.
Yeah, there's guys that are in the Hall of Fame that it didn't click right away. I mean, not saying Mitch Keller's a Hall of Famer. I'm not jumping there. I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't always click right away.
Sure.
Just to echo you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. I'm real excited for Mitch. We've like I said, it's been well documented his path here, and I'll be there in Cincinnati that day, and I'm very excited. Cincinnati's a rough place. That's where it all started for him, right? Didn't he make his debut in Cincinnati?
No, I don't remember. I'll be
I
honest.
think he made his debut in Cincinnati, so I could be wrong about that. But that's a pretty tough ballpark for a pitcher to make, to have a big game anyway. I mean, it's doable, obviously, but he could give up a couple homers and still pitch a really good game.
Yeah.
So Mitch Keller gets the opening day nod, and then what was it you said? After him, there's
5 more games.
Games.
There's 6 away games to start the year. So if we do run a 6-man rotation, he'd be in line to start the home opener as well.
So let's talk about that. Let's see how the rest of this thing shapes up, because we've got Keller, we've got Brubaker, we've got Roanzi, we've got Rich Hill, Vince Velasquez, and Johan Oviedo, who we've talked about throughout this whole thing. Those are the 6 guys. And coming into spring, a lot of talk about how much they liked Oviedo, how they planned on him being on the major league roster. The fact that there's only 2 days off in the month of April made us feel very strongly that they will run 6. Has Oviedo maybe, has he maybe mixed that up a little bit with the fact that like the walks are just too much?
Yeah. And it's one thing to be working on something and get hit. It's another thing to just not be throwing strikes.
Yeah. And I've heard some people say, I don't care about there's a lot of things in spring that you can say, well, I care about this, I don't care about this. And for some people, it's like, I care about throwing strikes. For other people, it's, I want to see the stuff move, even if they're not in the strike zone. And it's like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're looking for. And everybody has their own little things that they're looking for. I mean, obviously, pitch shape is important. Location comes in time. So there is some of that if you're missing off the plate too much, like he could still refine that and get those over the plate. But he walked 3 straight guys in his last outing, and the walks have just been there. I don't have the numbers pulled up, but let me pull them up while you make your point here. I can see you.
So yeah, because location comes with time is understandable, but the problem that I have with that is, now I work with high school kids mostly, but as a pitching coach where I was at, location should be the easiest thing to make the adjustment on. If you got the pitch shape, it's just your location is 95% timing, and when you release the ball, and if you miss low, you need to just release a little earlier, and all that stuff should be you're walking 3 guys in a row. You should have figured it out within those 3 guys. However, sometimes game by game, location comes and goes. So, but still, like, to have multiple outings where you're walking, you're not throwing the ball over the plate a lot, those adjustments should have been made in between games. That should be a quick bullpen session to figure that out.
Well, but I think in the spring, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have said, while we're getting our pitches, we're still working on that location. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd have to trust your opinion on that, but I hear that a lot, where location is kind of while you're working on a pitch anyway. Mm-hmm. Once you get the pitch, then it's location.
Exactly.
So if he's working on his shape, then you could see how location would be the last thing in the spring to come. And so you would have a little patience with that. But we're talking 10 innings, almost 11, so I'll give you that. 7 walks, 10 strikeouts. I mean, Brubaker sometimes has trouble with walks. He has 3 and 12. You know what I mean? So, like, he's looking fine. Mitch Keller's only walked 1 guy and struck out 20. It's just mowing him down. I mean, Brubaker has 20 strikeouts and 3 less innings than Keller too. But
yeah,
I mean, that leads the team in walks. And Vince Velasquez is the other one, only 9 innings and 6 walks and only 7 strikeouts. So, you know, you could make a case there that he's not doing much better, and you'd be making a good case. We've never seen him pitch because he's always on when it's not a TV game.
Right.
Today he got bumped up, or, you know, kind of blown up a little bit. I think there's still a little bit there. I mean, Velasquez, the thing about him is, you know, working with a new squad, you know, new pitching, stuff like that. So I kind of get that a little bit, maybe have a little bit of patience. But Vince Velasquez is that interesting. We signed him because we didn't think we'd get Rich Hill. Now we've got to give him a shot. Like I said, 10 to 20 starts depending on how he's doing, and you're going to see something happen, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's fine. It's going to be innings. But the thing is do you throw Oviedo out there and let him get beat up? Or do you just get him down in AAA, let him kind of work on that and get that location down? And once he's not walking guys, then we figure things out.
Yeah, and I could see this going either way. I wouldn't be mad either way. Because if it is a pitch that they're working on pitch shape and they're not in his locations, it will come. He'll get it eventually. And like I said, it is the last thing you worry about. So if that is the case, I have no problem with him breaking. I mean, he's striking guys out. You know, his Ks are fine.
So you're saying like he could still be up if that's the case because you trust it's there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're saying, you know, I mean, maybe you just don't want to go 6. Maybe you want to still stay 5 and go with it and see how this thing shakes up, and maybe they'll go with 6 in AAA. I mean, we know that there's plenty of pitchers down there. I think we named 6, right? If Oviedo's in it, you got Burrows, Priester, Ortiz, Oviedo, Majinski, and Osvaldo Bido, who pitched the other day. And I mean, has stuff that it's not something that when you look at Bido, you say, well, let's not pay attention.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He's an option. I mean, anything could click. I mean, we didn't know anything about Luis Ortiz at this time last year.
Yeah.
I mean, some people did. We didn't. I wasn't paying attention to him, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, they could go with 6 in Indy. And you're thrown once a week at that point because they do the 6 games in one place, right? You know what I mean? And then you travel. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they could do something like that. You're saving arms, you're throwing less innings, you're getting prepared. You're literally once a week throwing, and then, you know, that's going to make it easy for Oviedo to be ready without overdoing it to come up and fill a starting rotation spot. Same with Ortiz, same with Burrows. I mean, shoot, same with Priester. If he pushes his way, I would say longer for Priester because he's not 40-man, but, you know, those other 3 guys are. So I am not convinced of the 6-man rotation right now. I was convinced. I thought this is what they were going to do. It made the most sense to me to let's see this in April and take it easy on our guys. But I'm not convinced that they'll do that. If Oviedo's, they're not going to throw him out there and let him get hammered.
Right.
If he's not, you know, they'd rather just go with 5 there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a decision that they're going to have to, you know, cross that bridge when they get here. And I don't know what they're going to do. I'm just being honest. I'm going back and forth with it. And as a fan, I'm good either way. Like, okay. I understand both situations, and I would support either decision that they make because I can see it.
Oh man, does this change any of our, I think it does a little bit. I think some of the projections and stuff that I was thinking of, I mean, just even a week ago, I was convinced of this. So I wonder how it changes any of those. I don't know. If you guys didn't tune in Friday, when you're done with this episode, go back to Friday's episode. We did our over-unders for players, some player predictions, and stuff like that. So check that episode out and shoot us some. We actually have some. And I think we'll do some updates on what you guys sent us on Friday's episode. So that won't be here today. But so let's keep it pitching here. Harleen Garcia's update. Oh, I thought I had it pulled up, and I did not. Basically, he's not gripping a baseball for about 5 weeks. Like, he can't grip a baseball now, rough. And they said, you're not going to pick up a baseball for, let's see here. It doesn't.
4 to 5 weeks.
4 to 5 weeks, I think. This one here doesn't say it, but yeah, I think it's 4 to 5 weeks. He's not touching a baseball, and then reevaluate. Right. You know what? I wrote it down up here. It's some nerves in his biceps. He's in no throw status. They will do more tests in 4 to 5 weeks. Not his timetable to return is 4 to 5 weeks. They will do more tests at that point. And go daily from that point on. Even if in 5 weeks, 4 weeks, he's ready, now he goes and does his rehab. Like, he's got to get ramped up. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about, I mean, a spring training is a month. So 2-3 weeks at least, like at best, that's like 7 weeks. It's already been 2 weeks since the injury or something like that. Like, he's going on the 60-day.
Yeah, he'll take a couple weeks to just get his arm ready to go, and then another probably 5 or 6 appearances in the minors before he comes up to the team.
This is a 60-day retroactive to when he walked off the field that day, and I think that's how they'll open up another spot for somebody else to step in. So now that it's longer, we talked about this last week, and we said, do you think they'll go with a righty? I thought if he's only going to be out for a couple weeks, then maybe they'll just bring up another righty and go with that. A lot of things have changed here. The Oviedo decision looming is going to change that. Maybe my pick was that Dowry Moretta steps in. Maybe he will still step in that bullpen. He finally gave up his first run today. And then you're going to need a lefty. And now with all those lefties, we have Zastryzny, Zamora, Perdomo, and Aldred. I think it's with those 4. Caleb Smith has been reassigned. That he looked like it was maybe okay, and then he showed his like the same thing he always has a problem with, home runs and things like that. So he kind of got out of this equation.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a free agent? Is there a trade somewhere? I don't know. I don't see free agents available.
Yeah.
Right before he got injured was when I forget who now. Will Smith and Brad Hand, were those the two?
Yes.
So they both signed right before this. Zastryzny went with Canada. I don't know that he pitched. Zamora and Perdomo, mixed results from what we've seen from them. Aldred just got a save the other day, and he's actually, I mean, he's only thrown 3 innings, but my money's kind of on Aldred.
Yeah. Yeah, if we do internal, I'd say it's probably going to be him.
I've liked what I've seen there from his. It's just a little bit though. So, what do you make of that? Zastryzny has actually been surprising.
Yeah, I haven't hated what I've seen from him. And if you're looking at it at the trade market, it's tough. At this point in the year, a trade is hard. You almost have to wait to see who's going to be selling anyway. And at that point, Garcia's probably back.
Could you imagine? I mean, this would not be anything surprising to Ben Sherrington. Maybe he sits and watches the waiver wire the last couple weeks here. He's not going to be in a hurry to make a move.
No.
Maybe he sits and watches the waiver wire, and when it pops in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that could be. So Aldred was not even an invite, a non-roster invite. He's just in AAA in the organization. Yeah. So for it to be him, it would be kind of a cool thing. I would imagine they've seen him throwing a lot more than we have. I mean, we've only seen 3 appearances. Like we said, you don't have to be a non-roster invite to appear in games. And he's appeared in some games and spending his time in the minor league camp. So they would have had more looks at him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe there's something there. I don't know. Like I said, Zastryzny has looked fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're watching that waiver wire. If there's anybody.
I can't, for some reason, I can picture Perdomo pitching, but I just can't picture what he's done.
You know what I mean? He's the 6'8" guy.
Yeah.
He's just absolutely, you know what I mean? He's been fine, 6 innings, but 6 runs. He got kind of hit around one outing recently where it was like, oh man, I kind of didn't hate what I was seeing, but now I kind of am. I mean, it's 6 2/3. He's got 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. But he's got a hit by pitch, and he gave up the 2 homers. And it's probably not somebody, like I said, probably not somebody you're willing to trust and like really look forward to. But I mean, you can go Cam Aldred, 3 appearances. That's actually 2 innings on here. You know what I mean? And 2 strikeouts. Yeah. That's it. Like no hits. That's it. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. I'm sorry. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts in just 2 innings. So, I mean, who knows what you have there. Zastryzny, 4 1/3, 1 walk, 5 Ks, a hit batsman, but 5 hits in 4 1/3 and 2 runs. Neither of them earned. So maybe the wind got him. The wind has been unbelievable, but we're not talking about outfielders right now.
Right.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle the left hand. They're going to have to get another lefty. When you watch Jose Hernandez, he's not going to be ready to throw in the 7th inning. The plan for a Rule 5 guy is always to hide them. If he's the only one, there's no hiding involved. He hasn't pitched above AA. It's unfair to him as well. They're going to need somebody else just to lighten that load, especially with with 2 days off. You're going to have to put a lefty in, and you can't throw him out there every day on a young arm. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't just go out there and crush him and have a repeat of last year of what we did with the only 2 or 3 guys that were actually doing well.
Right.
So
I think Jose Hernandez is going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be good right out of the gate. Like, I don't think he's going to be somebody you're going to lean on right out of the gate.
Yep. They're going to take some time.
And we might not get a lefty that we can lean on right out of the gate. It just might not happen.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a little break here. I can refill my water here. And then we're going to get into some of the other players that were sent down. I'm sure you guys know where this is going. And then outfield mix, the second base battle. We're done with pitching. All right, let's take a quick break here as soon as I find the deal. And we're back here on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Let's get into the rest of this thing because we talked pitching the whole time, and we've got a lot of other things to talk about. And let's start off with a very hot topic here. We had some players sent down this week. And we're going to come right out of the gate with the very first one. Catcher Endy Rodriguez was sent down to Indy this week. And the uproar began. Leaving Heineman, Plawecki, and DeLay still in the battle for that backup catching role. Although, was Endy ever in competition for the backup catcher role, right? I mean, if he was going to make the team, he was going to be the starter.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at here? Where's your feelings?
My feelings are we knew what they were doing. This was the plan the whole time. So I get it. It's a little frustrating because he was producing. But at the same time, they have a plan and they're just following their plan. So it's hard to sit there and watch Austin Hedges struggle so bad at the plate. And then you have a guy who can hit, hitting well. And then say you're actually going to go to AAA even though you were hitting. It's frustrating, and I feel it. It kind of sucks. But if Endy is our catcher over Austin Hedges, does that put us in the playoffs?
No.
Then I'm okay with it.
That's actually a really good point that you finish with there. Endy is obviously, not obviously, I do believe, I am in the camp that believes Endy Rodriguez, if put in the major leagues right now, could handle the batter's box.
Mm-hmm.
He's hit everywhere he's gone. He will hit. And I got no choice but to trust them that he has work to do behind the plate. And right now, catching is still very important.
Yeah.
And maybe it still is. I mean, I don't know what his shortcomings are, right? I don't know. If it's pitch framing, then maybe the robo-umps will come soon and it won't matter. But maybe it's blocking.
Please no.
Yeah, I know. Please no.
Topic for another day.
Yeah, maybe it's blocking. And if that's the case, then if there's work to be done, man, I'd much rather not. Here's the problem I have with this, because every time I start to make this point, I tell myself, are you telling me he can't learn to block at the major league level? Because he can. Not to mention he would be with Austin Hedges, who's phenomenal at it, at everything defensively. We've talked about this. Yes, the metrics are in. He's one of the greatest catchers in the game, if not the greatest catcher in the game, since he's been in the game, defensively. Mm-hmm. Who better to learn from? Who better to split time with? You're right. We knew their plan. And you have that whole thing where you're saying, okay, well, there's also service time manipulation. It's still legal. It's, there's things you could do. I mean, could Endy make a case for Rookie of the Year?
Possibly.
If you think he can make a case for Rookie of the Year, then there's a little bit more incentive to put him on the team on opening day. If you think, maybe not yet, because they're going to look at the defensive metrics. Because he's not going to get enough playing time because he's going to be part-time because he's a catcher. So maybe he doesn't actually get enough votes to be in the whatever it has to be. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, shoot, if Jordan Walker and Corbin Carroll and all these guys are going to be rookies this year, does that kind of hurt your chances of getting it anyway?
Sure.
If you get another year of control, I kind of get that. If we think he's a legit prospect, I kind of get that. I hate it.
Yeah.
I won't stand for Super 2 because that's a money move. I think, I'm trying to think. I think Gary brought this up on their podcast too. And he said, that is strictly financial, strictly salary. And I'm 100% there. The Super 2 thing is not going to fly for me right now because that is a money in your pocket type move. And I'm not sure they're even thinking about that, but the extra year of control, they're absolutely thinking about.
Yeah.
So he's not going to put us in the playoffs. He's not, you're right. I don't know. Maybe that's where we leave it. Maybe that's the final thing. Either way, we're not making the calls. We knew they were going to make this call. There's absolutely zero surprise. But there's also that thing. I think you said it a couple of weeks ago. They said they were going to do this, but that doesn't mean they can't change their mind.
Right. Right.
Apparently they didn't. He's been sent down. So for the sake of time, we won't go into the Heineman-Plawecki delay battle. And I'm telling you, that's a depressing one anyway, so we'll leave it alone for now. Also, Nick Gonzalez reassigned. He also was tearing the cover off the ball. He played more games this year than he did in last spring. I mean, there was also a shortened spring last year, so things would have moved a little more rapidly. His production was a little bit less than it was last year, but we've got 2 spring trainings in a row where Nick Gonzalez has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great sign. If he can stay healthy this year, all that prospect list that he keeps dropping on, he's going to start moving back up because he's going to show that he's still a really good hitter.
Yeah.
And he seemed to be fine defensively too, which was always like you can't play defense. Yeah, he can play defense. He's fine.
Yeah. It was just fine.
But I think this is another really good sign. And yes, there are some people who are saying Nick Gonzalez has been the best second baseman in camp. He should have got the job. But once again, they're always going to do this. He's got to play some AAA. He's got to. When you haven't played past AA, there is something to be said about having a few more at bats and being able to struggle and bounce back again. He hasn't played a full season. I have no problem with him going down right now. I want to see what we have. We've got 3 guys in camp right now who have a chance, actually maybe more, who have a chance for that second base position. And we'll talk about them in a few minutes.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with most of it. I don't necessarily agree with people have to play AAA. It happens quite often where people skip AAA and they're just fine.
Yeah. Is he there though because of the injuries though? Is he one of those guys?
I think because of injuries is separate from needing to play AAA. I don't think that he needs to play AAA because of the injuries. I think the injuries has caused him to need to play AAA. I don't think it's the same thing.
Somebody else understands what you just said. I was like, I thought you said the same thing.
Right, but it's because he was injured. I think that's why he got sent back down. I don't think he needs AAA.
Well, he's not there yet, though.
I think he just needs more playing time, which in turn he plays AAA.
Yeah, he's not there
because he
yet,
doesn't need any more AA.
Right. But he's not there. He's not on the 40 man. He's not been there. It's not like he went out there last year and hit 25 homers and hit 285 and he's like, it's my turn now. You know what I mean? That's not there. So
he hasn't set the world on fire
there
yet.
is something still to be proven.
Sure.
He also was hot last spring and he still, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, he had over 400 last spring or something like that. Now it's like almost 400 this spring. And so, I actually still have that window up here. Spring training 2022, 455 last spring. And this spring 391. So that's back-to-back great spring showings. Now last time it was 11 ABs. This time it was 23. So we got a bigger sample size and shown that yes, he can actually do this. But we also talked about the quality of the opponents that he was facing as an average, and he was hitting guys that he should have been hitting, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, and if you have a struggle at the second base position in the major leagues, and no matter who you put there, they struggle, and he's in AAA ranking, you're going to see him get promoted.
Yeah, and I think we will this year. Some of the other guys to get sent down: Ryan Valade, Mike Burrows, Jared Triolo, and Cal Mitchell, which brings us to the outfield mix discussion. Reynolds and Kutch, in my opinion, right now are the only 2 for sures. And Kutch is a part-time player in the outfield specifically. You know what I mean? I think Suwinski, you said it. It hasn't really improved. As a matter of fact, that average and on base has actually gone down since we talked about it last. It's not clicking. There's still a lot of swing and miss. Is there a chance Suwinski doesn't have this thing in the bag?
I mean, there's a chance. It's just we've seen this. We've seen guys come out in spring training and dominate, and then they go ahead and give them the nod, and it doesn't work out quite as well as we'd hoped. I mean, remember just last year with Diego Castillo come out crushing the ball, give him the.
He still did fine for a little bit, though.
Fine.
You know what I mean? He rode that for a little while, and then it caught up with him.
But I'm just saying that it would make the franchise a little nervous to give the spot to somebody else when they've seen what Suwinski can do at the major league level. So, but I mean, can you argue with what Swaggerty's doing right now.
Well, you certainly can't argue with what Swaggerty's doing, but I'm not sure if Suwinski makes a team that Swaggerty doesn't. So I've seen a lot of people say there's 3 guys. So we're talking about Kanan Smith-Njigba as well, and Connor Joe as well, who these are the 5 guys that are kind of in the mix right now, with Cal Mitchell being sent down. And so, I mean, I've seen a lot of people saying it's either Suwinski, Swaggerty, or Kanan Smith-Njigba, and I'm like, I don't see where you're finding that. I think there's room for 2 of those guys. But is Connor Joe one of those guys that's included in the 2 of those guys? I don't really know. I mean, who's your 3 outfielders? Right now, I got Reynolds. McCutchen will DH more than he will play outfield. They have said that.
You're gonna have 4 outfielders.
If you're saying Kutch, you're having like 4 starting outfielders.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be Reynolds, Kutch, and Swaggerty and Suwinski. And I think you're going to see Swaggerty in center field and Suwinski in right field quite a bit.
I think you could make a case that, I don't know, man. I mean, Kanan Smith-Njigba, back-to-back days with a home run. He's starting to hit the ball even harder. He's starting to lift the ball. He also has the walk tool. They've kind of favored people over Travis Swaggerty. Swaggerty has to make this team for me. And Kanan Smith-Njigba looks really good as well. Is there a case where Suwinski gets sent down to start the year? Figure it out. We're going to start with these 2 guys. They're not going to both pedal to the metal, but you're going to look at Reynolds, Swaggerty, and Kanan Smith-Njigba in right. With Swaggerty in center, Reynolds in left. You're going to run with that for now. If Suwinski comes back up and it's Swaggerty that's messing up, then they just switch.
Yeah.
If it's Kanan Smith that's not doing so well, then they just switch. I mean, there's a chance that Suwinski's could start this season in AAA. You're talking about another guy who did not play very much in AAA. He went straight from AA up.
I would like to say there's a chance of that happening, but if you listen to any of the interviews, they ask him straight up, how does it feel to know you have a spot?
They can change their mind. Go back to that, I guess. I don't know.
They can change their mind, but I don't see a scenario where Suwinski's not on the major league roster to start the season.
Yeah, I have a hard time.
I think it would make sense. I think it would make sense, but I don't see it.
So, the other thing that I was thinking of is there a possibility that these guys could all be there? And I'm looking at my handy dandy little 40 man, and I think I can share this over. Yeah, I've even got a share here. I did this. I put Swaggerty, Suwinski, Smith-Njigba in everything, right? And that includes Connor Joe, who's been playing well. And if you notice, there's no backup infielder there. I did this just for an exercise. So you're going to have to take, and that's Marcano, Bay going down. You're going to have to take Joe out of the scenario, which doesn't seem like they really want to do that either.
Right.
Even though they have 2 first basemen, like you could cover your bases without him if you think these guys are all doing good. But could Connor Joe look you in the eye and say, you picked Suwinski? Yeah, right. He could.
Yeah.
Because this can't happen. What I have on the screen here is Swaggerty, Suwinski, Kanan Smith, Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen, Connor Joe, all making the team. It's impossible because you're left with Santana, Hayes, O'Neal Cruz, G-Man Choi, and Rodolfo Castro, and you have no backups.
Right.
So it's
yeah, and they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that.
You can't.
No, it's not an option. So something has to give. And are you really going to tell me, like, I mean, you could, but like, if you just send one of those guys down, you're going to run with 5 outfielders and have 1 backup infielder, whether it be Bay, whether it be Marcano, whether it be Matthias. It's going to be one of those 3 have to make this team. One of those 3 have to make this team. And Castro right? 2 of those 4 have to make this team because we're not done with that yet. But that's kind of the thought process there is like Kanan Smith-Njigba, Travis Swaggerty, both guys are doing well enough to earn their way into the picture. Connor Joe's starting to hit better. He's starting to look better in this whole thing. And it's really hard to tell. Is Matthias even he's also playing outfield. Like he also has the ability to play outfield. They brought him in. Is he one of the options there? I don't see how when you've already got enough guys that are actually doing well. To be honest with you,
I was very surprised when I saw him in the outfield.
When coming into the spring, I thought outfield's going to have to work itself out. There's guys there, right? I thought second base was going to have the Castro Bay thing was going to be the tough decision. And it's flip-flopped here. I mean, it's still a tough decision, but I thought because of the fact that they were playing well.
Right.
So, I don't know, man. I think this is a big mix-up, or could be a big mix-up. Suwinski is going to have a lot to prove, I think. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the big thing for me right now going into this week. And we don't really have time to get into second base. There's more time to talk about it. There's not really much of an update. It still is what it is. Those guys are not. They're not playing like Swaggerty.
They're not battling. They're not battling.
No, they're not. I think. I don't know. I don't have thoughts, but I mean, geez, Louise, when do we start bringing up Drew Maggi, Matthias for second base, Owings? Holy cow! I don't think it's going to get to that. I think Castro still is a guy that what's it going to help for him to go to AAA?
Right.
They're all 23 though, so maybe it still does help them. I don't know.
It is rough. I mean, they're all the same dang age.
So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. What do you got to close us out here? Let me check the score of that game. Is it over?
Yeah, it's over.
It's over. U.S. obviously won. They were absolutely killing them. I'm just closing that tab. You got anything here to kind of get rid of this thing?
Get rid of this thing?
Yeah, closes that.
Yeah, I mean, their plan is their plan. They're going to stick to it for the most part. I don't know what else to say. Go USA, go win the whole thing.
They just have one game left, right?
Yeah.
What day is that?
Tuesday. The winner of Japan and Mexico on Monday.
Okay.
That's who they'll play.
There you go. David Bednar gets a save.
Not going to happen.
No, but he's going to throw a really good inning at one point, I hope.
Yes.
That would be cool. Get that experience, Bednar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It's going to be in the 5th or 6th inning, but go get it.
Yeah. Let me see. We got Monday, MLB TV only. Tuesday, we have a game on AT&T. Off day Wednesday, Thursday, AT&T. Friday night game is radio only because Detroit is poor. Saturday night game on AT&T. And Sunday is MLB TV only. So if you guys are able to stream that. Does MLB TV still do all the spring games for free?
I don't think so. I mean, you can get the free trial.
But if you log in, you can't, I mean, because you still have the app and everything, right? Even though you don't subscribe. I always thought that spring training games were free, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're free if you had the year before or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway.
I was hoping to get down there for that Saturday game, but it's not going to happen. I had to pay to get my brakes fixed, so.
Yeah, that sucks, man. It's unbelievable what things cost these days.
Yeah.
So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 games available. Video is available. 3 of them are actually on AT&T. So if you're just watching through AT&T, you get 3 games this week. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday evening. It's evening, really. 6 o'clock game, right? So,
yep.
There you go. I said, right. And I was like, nothing. It's like, crap, did I lose him?
I started nodding and I was like, not everybody's watching.
Yeah. So Friday is
Hawaiian shirt day.
I have to do when I say Friday, I have to do it. I have to say it's Hawaiian shirt day. Anyway, Friday morning, another episode. We're going to hit stop on this one, guys. And we're going to hit record again. Right? Yeah. I think I'm going to put my hat on for this one. Make it look a little different. But we are going to do our teams and MLB predictions. These are the ones that always go wrong. Actually, our standings predictions, we didn't do half bad last year. We didn't do half bad. But anyway, get your picks in, get them ready, and listen in on Friday for all of that, all the picks, and pick all your division winners, pick your World Series winners, all your MVP, your Cy Young, and your Rookie of the Year, and then your Pirates wins, right? And then some predictions that you got. So, all right, guys, that's all we have for this Monday. Good luck to lost that train of thought. Good luck to the USA. Thank you.
There he is.
Well, let me see. That's literally, dude, we have 8 games left of the spring.
Yeah.
8 games.
Mm-hmm.
We are almost there. Hit me up too if you're going to the home or to the Reds opening day and Pirates home opener. I will be at both of those. So very excited.
I'll be at the Pirates home opener.
Yep. So we're very excited for the season to get started. We're excited for all of this. Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
I'm looking for my buttons. I got to hit buttons to stop the show. I'm looking for them. I finally found them. So let's go Bucks. Oh, same time.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!